Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Sri Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class. It's from Canto 2, Chapter 5, and Text 2. And without further ado, actually, I'm substituting for Mother Gita. But so I'll give the class by the mercy of Guru and Guranga. Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Vihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Vihari, Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadhari, Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadhari, Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Pradhanarandana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Janavanabha Girivadadari Yashodanandana Vrajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vrajanaranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivadadari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivadadari Yashodanandana Vrajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vrajanaranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari 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 Jayam Vishnu Par Paramhansa Parivajikacharya Stotra Satachitra Maris Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Jayam Vishnu Par Paramhansa Parivajikacharya Stotra Satachitra Maris Divine Grace Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai ISKCON founder Acharya Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Swami Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Jamuna Mai Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Hare Krishna Mahamantra Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vinna Ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Vimanande, Hare 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 Bo. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the Lord's feet of Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga, God Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Peshaya Bhutale, Srimati Bhakti Tirtha Swami Niti Namani. Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Chitatpani Sri Guru Karuna Shakti Bhakti Tirtha Namani. Narayana Namaskricha Narunchaivam Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Gujirayat Nashta Praiswa Bhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavata Uttama Shloki Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Hare Krishna. Good morning, dear devotees. Please accept humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all glories to the assembled Vaishnavas. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 5, Text 2. Yad Rupam Yad Adishtanam Yata Shrishtam Idam Prabhu Yat Stastan Yat Param Yachcha Tat Tatvam Vadatatvatam Yad Rupam Yad Adishtanam Yata Srishtam Idam Prabhu Yat Stastan Yat Param Yachcha Tat Tatvam Vadatatvatam Yad Rupam Yad Adishtanam Yata Srishtam Idam Prabhu Yat Sashtam Yat Param Yatcha Tat Tatvam Vadatatvatam. Hare Krishna. Please unmute yourself and repeat if you so wish.
Yadrupam. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yadrupam yadadishtanam yatsrustim idam prabho yat samstham yat param yach tat tatvam vat tatvataha. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Yadrupam yadadishtanam yad.
Hare Krishna,
Right.
Prabhu, maybe. I think she
Yeah,
lost
please
audio.
go. Yeah, she's on the road, so
Oh,
probably
okay,
she's
okay.
lost. Why don't you chant and then later on she's done?
Sure, Prabhu.
Thanks.
Yad rupam yad adhishtanam yattah shrishtam idam prabho yat samstham yat param yachya tat tatvam vad tatvataha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah.
Am I audible now?
Yeah,
Yes.
right.
Oh, okay, good. Sorry. Yeah, I think the turn. I was just okay.
Right.
Yadrupam yadadishtanam yata shristamidam prabho yat samstam yat param yacha tat tatvam vadatatvatah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay.
Yadrupam and scroll down. Yadrupam yadadishtanam yatah srishtam idam prabho yat sanstam yat param yachtat tatvam vad tatvatah.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Word for word now. Yat what? Rupam, the symptoms of manifestation. Yat what? Adishtanam, background. Yata, from where? Shrishtam, created. Idam, this world. Prabhu, O my father. Yat, in which. Samstam, conserved. Yat, what? Param, under control. Yat, what are? Cha, and. Tat, of this. Tatvam, the symptoms. Vada, please describe. Tatvata, factually. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. My dear Father, please describe factually the symptoms of this manifest world. What is its background? How is it created? How is it conserved? And under whose control is all this being done? Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The inquiries by Narada Muni on the basis of factual cause and effect appear very reasonable. The atheists, however, put forward many self-made theories without any touch of cause and effect. The manifested world, as well as the spirit soul, is still unexplained by the godless atheists through the medium of experimental knowledge, although they have put forward many theories manufactured by their fertile brains. Contrary to such mental speculative theories of creation, however, Narada Muni wanted to know all the facts of creation in truth and not by theories. Transcendental knowledge regarding the soul and the supersoul includes knowledge of the phenomenal world and the basis of its creation. In the phenomenal world, three things are factually observed by any intelligent man: the living beings, the manifest world, and the ultimate control over them. The intelligent man can see that neither the living entity nor the phenomenal world are creations of chance. The symmetry of creation and its regulative actions and reactions suggests the plan of an intelligent brain behind them. And by genuine inquiry, one may find out the ultimate cause with the help of one who knows them factually. Om Gina Timidandasya Gyana Gina Shalakaya Shakchu Unmilitam Jina Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Vayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaura Vani Pacharini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Shatayani Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Vishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Guru Chase Nama Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Siva Shari Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. The translation, English translation of the text. My dear Father, please describe factually the symptoms of this manifest world. What is its background? How is it created? How is it conserved? And under whose control is all this being done? So, my dear Father, this is Narada Muni asking. He says, my dear Father. So, Father is Brahma. Brahma's son's Narada Muni. So Narada Muni is inquiring from Brahma. Now, the person speaking is actually Shukadeva Goswami. Shukadeva Goswami is talking to Maharaj Pariksit, answering Maharaj Pariksit's questions. So we just started a new chapter, chapter 5. So chapter 4, towards the end, it was in fact Maharaj Pariksit that was asking Shukadeva Goswami to describe the creative energy of the material world. And in response to that, Shukadeva Goswami could have gone right to describing it by himself, but he also recalls the conversation between Brahma and Narada Muni, where Narada Muni is asking the same kind of questions that would answer Maharaj Parikshit's question. It's the same thing. So rather than answer straight, Shukadeva Goswami went to the point of this conversation between Brahma and Narada, because Narada was asking Brahma questions about the creative energy. Maharaj Pariksit has asked Shukadeva Goswami questions about the creative energy. So it was the choice of Shukadeva Goswami to use this conversation between Brahma and Narada to answer the question. And that's where we are. So then he's just repeating what Narada was asking Brahma just to satisfy or give an answer to Maharaj Pariksit. So in this text, the questions are being posed. The text questions are, it says, my dear Father Brahma, please describe factually the symptoms of this manifest world. Now, another reason why Shukadeva Goswami chose this conversation to answer Maharaj Pariksit is that Brahma himself is involved in the creation of the material world. He's a second creator, taught by Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Mahavishnu is the one from whose pores these universes come. Then for each universe, Mahavishnu expands to Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Then Brahma comes from Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. And then he's taught how to create the varieties in the universe. So Brahma knows about it. And so when Maharaj Pariksit asked Sukadeva Goswami thought it was appropriate to use this conversation with Narada inquiring from one of the creators, Lord Brahma himself, about the creative energy. So Narada Muni is saying, my dear father, Brahma, please describe the symptoms of this manifest world. And then he went into detail what he meant by symptoms. What is his background? How was it created? How was it conserved? And who's controlling all of this? So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada, in one sense, praises the questions. He says the inquiries by Narada Muni on the basis of factual cause and effect appear very reasonable. So in a sense, indirectly, he's actually praising Narada Muni for asking those questions. There's also cause and effect. The material world is the effect. It's there, it's created. What caused it? So that's why cause and effect is there. What caused it is the questions that Narada is asking. What is his background? How was it created? How was it conceived? What's underneath all of this? So the world is already there. It's created. We can see it. So that's the effect. But what made it happen, the cause, is what Narada is asking. And that conversation would also satisfy Maharaj Pariksit at the same time, because he's also asked a similar question. Now, before this is tackled, the questions are tackled, it's typical because the way Srila Prabhupada writes his purports, he says it's going to be answered based on facts, but the atheists tend to put forward so many theories without really much of cause and effect. The world is there. This phenomenal world is already there, and the atheists are trying to dominate the world and get people's minds to come to the conclusion that they are the controllers. And therefore, they're using all kinds of means, most of them diabolical, to try to put forward their claim of power. That's what they want. So the manifested world, as well as the spirit soul, these things cannot be explained by these godless atheists, by experiment. Medium of experimental knowledge. They've done this, they would take the telescopes, they look here and all, and then they try to, I think this is what's going on. And every time anybody says, I think, Papa starts beating them up in the manner of speaking. I think, you don't know the facts. Shabda Praman, Veda Praman, first class. If you don't know, you have to get your information from the authority. So the Papa is giving one very simple example. When a baby is born, the mother obviously is one of the parents of the baby. But what about the father? The father fertilized the egg in the womb of the mother, but outside of that, he didn't do anything else. This started the whole process through nature of the child being formed and then coming out of the womb through the mother. So the connection between the child and the mother, that doesn't take much for the child to figure out. But who's the father? How does the child know who the father is? But the mother tells the child, here is your father. The mother is authority. The mother would know. And the mother tells the child, here's your father, and the child accepts it. Accept that fact. Here's my father. And that's how it works. So when these people, scientists, many of them with whatever plans that they aim that they have, much of them not honorable, much of these aims not honorable, whatever they do, they are trying with experiments and their conclusions are not perfect. Just like we don't try to find a person's father through experimentation. We just try by simply Or we get it by simply asking the mother. It's the simplest thing. Hmm? And the scientists are trying to find other ways to do this, but that's another story for another time. Hmm. So, in the end, whatever they come up with is mental speculation because they don't really know. They don't know the constitution of this one universe, much less other universes, much less the spiritual world. Kusira Papa says, contrary to all of these mental speculative theories about how the creation came to be, Narada Muni wanted to know the facts, and the Papa ends the purport by saying it has to be from someone who knows. Hmm? We have forgotten even our home, a spiritual world. So it takes someone who knows, who's from there, to come tell us it's like this, it's like this, it's like this. And you're working hard here and you're suffering, whether you realize it or not. It's easier and loving back home. And this is how you prepare to go back home. These are all authoritative statements. We can't see the spiritual world now. We cannot. We can't see 99.999% of the material world. Not with these eyes. So how are we going to believe anything? Through experiment. We have to be told. And the good thing about it is that the information that comes from the Shastra for us in Guru's explanation have things about us that connect to it. In other words, even though we don't know anything and we won't know everything and we will never really know everything, there's little from it that explains things that make sense. For example, when we're told that we come in one lifetime, we take another body, another life based on our desire, and some of the things that we did that we need to pay for, and therefore a person is born again. So that's there, and we go, okay, well, the subtle body takes the soul to the next existence. All of this we don't know. We really can't prove it. We just heard it. And what's been happening in the previous life is retained by the mind and it goes to the next life. So if in the next life or in the previous life, somebody was expert at playing a particular instrument and they get born again and that instrument happens to be in the environment, when they pick it up, they'll play it in no time. Now that end of it, that they're able to play it, that's true. We're just giving it the word talent. A little boy or a little girl sits on the piano and is going at it and is only 5 years old. Wait a minute. There are adults that are about 30, 40 years old and they've been practicing, trying to play. They don't play anywhere near how this young person, 5 years old, is playing. How did they get to play it that quickly? And that easily. So when we're told it's a previous life, he was already doing it, and that ability gets transferred to the next life, it makes all the sense in the world. The same reason why sometimes somebody gets to be on a boat or even on a bridge. The connection between that is that there's water around. Boat or crossing a bridge, there's water underneath. They get scared for no reason. Well, superficially or looking at it for no reason. But why? You do past life regression, you'll find out this person had some kind of calamity happen to them that involved the water, that involved the ocean or river or lake. And that's why that impression is still in the mind and is being carried into this life. And so without knowing why they are suffering like that. I have a god brother in Maryland who is a devotee. And you know what we do? We wear the tulsi around our necks. And he's very uncomfortable with the tulsi around his neck. Previous life, depending on who you meet, there are those who went to the school for Brigumuni and they can, Brigumuni is very much connected with the school for teaching previous lives and so on. So he found out that in his previous life, he was hanged. This is how he died. And therefore, now something around his neck gives him discomfort. How is all this explained? But it makes sense. We have some examples of how the person is behaving. We cannot connect it in any other way by experimentation, but what the scripture is talking to us about, it makes sense because we see the phenomenon happen in our lives, the result of it. That people who have phobias, people who have talent, it's all explained based on the previous life. And these scientists can't explain anything like that. They can't. So this is part of creation. And so we also told very important things, three things. This phenomenal world, when we say phenomenal, we mean the material world. The spiritual world is the nominal world or noumenal world. And then there's a phenomenal world, that is the material world. Three things Srila Prabhupada is saying. Any intelligent man would realize that what is here is one, the living beings, those that are alive, and then the rest of the world, which is much bigger than the living beings, the manifest world, and then the ultimate control over them. In other words, how things are functioning, but who's causing that functioning to happen? The Lord said he impregnates the material world, and then life comes to be. People start behaving certain ways, the animals and trees and birds and fish and so on. They all behave in their ways with this particular bodies based on desires or sometimes based on punishments they have to go through. So that's part of the creation of this phenomenal or material world. So Shabda Praman, Vedic knowledge is called Shabda Praman or Shruti, knowledge that's by oral reception, it's heard. So the Vedas help us to understand transcendental knowledge. It's there for that reason. But it's the authority also. We don't go by experimental knowledge from these scientists and whatever they find so much. That I don't want to beat them up too much this morning, but it's nothing they do is perfect. So the transcendental knowledge that Maharaj Pariksit is asking about, and now because of the way Shukadeva Goswami is going to answer them, now it's actually Narada that's asking Lord Brahma. That transcendental knowledge is from beyond this universe. Within this universe is material knowledge, and beyond this universe is transcendental knowledge. And in the Sri Upanishad, Srila Prabhupada describes we are very limited. We can't even go to the end of the universe, so how can we go to the spiritual world? So to acquire full knowledge of the spiritual world, it's not impossible. It's impossible. It takes authoritative knowledge, the authority to tell us, and that is Vedas, Sabda Praman. Sri Prabhupada in one lecture, he says that's first class. It is first class. Now, so questions are being asked about this phenomenal world. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 1, Text 24, Vishesha tasya dehoyam stavitascha staviyasam yatredam vyajyate vishvam bhutam bhavyam bhavatcha sat. The translation is this gigantic manifestation of the phenomenal material world as a whole is the personal body of the absolute truth, wherein the universal resultant past, present, and future of material time is experienced. Remember, let's take it from the end. The past, present, and future that is based on time is experienced. Everything is present in the spiritual world. So there is no past, present, and future like that. although there is one activity and another one follows, and another one follows, and another one follows, but there is no destruction. See, time is based on when things started and it got maintained for a while and it got destroyed. And so, since there is no destruction, and ingredients of everything that is supposed to be part of the pastimes that they go through in the material, in the spiritual world is already there, nothing has to grow to start. So there's no beginning, and then nothing gets destroyed. So there's no annihilation. So if the beginning is not there, annihilation is not there, then how do you put time into all of this? So everything is going on. So the only thing you can say is present. There is no past in terms of things starting up. There is no future in terms of things being destroyed. And that's why time doesn't quite work in the spiritual world. But here, we get born, everything here gets born. Even the material world, the universes come to be when they come out of the pores of Mahavishnu. This is also a beginning. And they get maintained for a while. And then through the agency of Lord Shiva, they get destroyed. So there's time for all of that. Some of them, and of course, in the third canto, there's more description of time and how it's so relative. It depends on the particular body that the soul is occupying. The other important thing about the material world is that the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Super Soul is really the cause of the things that happen. Because he is the permitter. When we want to do things, the Super Soul has to permit us. We have free choice. We have free choice, but still, the Super Soul permits us to do what we do. Everything around us belongs to the Lord. Therefore, if some things are not supposed to happen in a certain way, and even we try with our own free will, we still won't get anywhere. For example, we want to do things with our hands. The hand belongs to the Lord. If the Lord decides that the hand gets paralyzed, there's nothing you can do with the hand there. Even though you may have free will and might want to do something with your hand. So even though we have free choice, we are still controlled. And the controller is the Lord in his incarnation as the Paramatma. And so whether we like it or not, the material world is like that, the spiritual world is also like that. Everything is under the control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So anything, material or spiritual, is an expansion of the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he is everywhere. He is in every spiritual planet, and he's in every material universe, all the way down to the smallest living being. He is in that as the Super Soul. So he's everywhere. This relative world is a phenomenal representation because it's an expansion of his transcendental energy, even the energy that's called the separated energy. Bhairanga Shakti, separated energy, that still belongs to the Lord. So whether we like it or not, wherever we turn, we are connecting with the Lord in some way. If we connect with him in rebellion, not wanting to be a servant, then we go through difficulty because the material world is actually going to keep us bound and challenge us in so many ways. And then and that's how we get into anxiety. But as soon as we turn our minds to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and say, you are the controller, I definitely accept my position as a servant, then all kinds of protection come. Even though there are difficulties in the material world, you will go through them the very big example in the Shastra, the Pandavas. Hmm? So many situations happen. Prahlad Maharaj is another one. Hmm? His was even shorter, but the Pandavas, their whole lives practically from when they were born and returned from the forest to Hastinapur, problems began immediately. Immediately. Because they were despised by Dhritarashtra's sons. Hmm? And then Dhritarashtra's brother-in-law, Shakuni. And so right from the get-go, they were facing material problems. But the Lord was always there. Look, for what you know about the Pandavas, we all know about the Pandavas in Mahabharata. There was no time that they were thoroughly defeated, that they just had to give up and nothing worked anymore. They were always challenges, even though they were there, they were always victorious in the end, all the way to the end. As a matter of fact, Krishna told them before the Kurukshetra war that time I am the destroyer of the world. And he says, everybody's going to go. But you, as my devotees, you'll still be here. Except you. On both sides, all these soldiers are going to be slain. But actually, the spiritual reason behind it was that he was going to deliver the souls. The physical bodies are going to go, but he was going to deliver the souls. So I remember in one Rath Yatra in Gitanagri, and the program was that after the procession of Jagannath Baladev and Subhadra, the next part of the program involved questions and answers. They'll have some of the gurus and senior devotees of Sri gurus, all disciples of Sri Prabhupada, 3 or 4 of them put chairs on the stage, before all the dancing and the acting and so on, come as part of the program, excuse me. They have questions and answers. And I remember one of our gurus, his name is His Grace Rabindranath Prabhu. And the question was asked of him. And while he was answering the question, he started chuckling about it. And his chuckle, as I started, he was kind of laughing through what he was going to say. And he says, and this was a very, very important point in my mind. At that time, it didn't mean much to me. But as time went on, I realized the truth behind it. He said, Krishna does not look at death the way we look at death. He doesn't. Krishna does not look at death the way we look at death. Krishna looks at death that I am taking the real living entity out of this prison body into a better situation. That's Krishna's view of death. So while Rabindranath was chuckling, he was chuckling and he's finally laughing at us because of our notion about what death is. Death means we've lost a person. Yeah, well, think again. This is the material world. It is the cosmic jail. We've lost the person. He's been removed from the material world. But actually, that person has been taken out of jail. This is Christian's definition. I've taken the person out of jail. This is the Lord speaking. And put him in a place where he'll be happy forever. So yesterday, I got to thinking, it's a struggle in this place. Everybody that's able to pay their bills, it's because there's money that's coming in for doing that. If that money stops coming in, immediately there'll be an anxiety. That anxiety does not exist in the spiritual world because nobody has to pay any bill to anyone. And then he thought about it, said, okay, well, now what? Because this question comes up a lot about the material, speaking about the material world. If the Lord is so kind, why does it make life a little easier for us in the material world? Well, the answer is first, we wanted to be king, Lord of all we survey, even though we didn't put anything together in this world, spiritual or material. But we wanted to be tops. Therefore, Krishna put us here. He says, okay, well, I've supplied everything. Now, you play God here. And we realize having to play God is not easy. It's a struggle. Now, he wants us back home in the spiritual world. And many of us are not taking this whole process of going back home so seriously, especially if we feel a little bit satisfied with the way material life is and the way we're managing it in our situation. But there is disease. What about that? There is death. What about that? There's old age. What about that? If we haven't gotten those and haven't been that sick and we're not dead yet and we're not old yet, then we feel, oh, things are okay. All right, now, Krishna wants us back in the spiritual world. So now let's think about this. Suppose some of the things that are challenging were removed. For example, nobody's going to die. So you're thinking in the material world. I'm talking about the material world now. Suppose nobody's dead in the material world. Nobody dies in the material world. So Krishna gives us that break. We're all going to stay in the material world for long as it takes. Then here's a counter argument. We find out in the spiritual world, they are also living forever, and we're also living forever in the material world. Now, this is just an assumption now for argument's sake. So we're here and we work and we're able to use what nature supplies by working, and we go on with life like that, and we're not going to die. Now, we already know that from our jobs, the best time is when we are on vacation. We know that. Because vacation is a situation where, in this material world, you get to do what you want and still get paid anyway. So that's vacation. And that's why we like it so much, because we don't have to work and still we are supported the way it's done here by the amount of money that's it's expected that comes to us anyway. Now, so we're not going to die, but we're working hard. And then you find out in the spiritual world, there are all these entities who live life like vacation the whole time. They don't ever work. We have to work. They don't. They don't die, and we made the assumption we also don't die. Aren't we going to think at some point, how come, Krishna, you've given them a chance to live like they're on vacation all the time, and we have to work for a living? Won't we complain? Won't we not complain that Krishna is not being fair? So even just the whole idea, just taking death off alone, we will still feel cheated. Because those in the spiritual world live a vacation type life, and we have to struggle for everything. So Krishna just says, get out of the body and go to the spiritual world. You guys are unthinking. That's all. That's all. That's why death is like that to Krishna. He is sensitive to others because he's like that. He's sensitive to people's feelings. But he never feels something is bad when he kills demons or sends devotees back. Not at all. They're going to a better situation. So we made the argument of if Krishna will leave us here perpetually, we don't get old and we don't die. Even old age is taken and we don't die. We're going to be working like anything while those in the spiritual world are having the vacation the whole time. So the best thing actually is to go back to the spiritual world. So the phenomenal world is presented the way it is, and this is all from Shapta Praman. We get to know about what it is like in the spiritual world so that we see that here we're struggling when we don't need to struggle to live. We don't really need to struggle to live, but we've come to a place what's like that. That's like that. And so the best thing is, no matter what the situation is, for us individually, the best solution is to chant the holy name of the Lord, do the things that's required for us as devotees, spread the same information to others, and prepare to leave. Yes, now I'm bringing even more home to us, to the reality. Being in the United States, there's so many material things that are supplied. So it's a little more convenient to live here. It's more convenient. But disease is here, old age is here, and death is here. And they cause problems, and there's no solution to those. So yes, the phenomenal world, this material world, is set up that way, but it's set up so that we will get frustrated and go back to the spiritual world. And even if we're not frustrated in the material world because we're managing somehow to our satisfaction, we have to understand that the spiritual world is made for the greatest example, the greatest, not just example only, but the greatest reality about enjoyment. They know the reality of what enjoyment is, those in the spiritual world. So we need to try to get back by taking this process so seriously, bhakti yoga so seriously, that even with our faults, that the Lord will show mercy to us and allow us back to the spiritual world. So either way we look at it is better to leave this phenomenal world, but it's going to be described in detail by questions that Narada has asked Brahma, and Brahma just answers them wonderfully. But the whole idea is, and this is what's part of Sankhya philosophy also, the whole idea is you find out the material world for what it is. It's designed to give us, to prod us to the point where we're going to see, nah, there has to be a better situation. I should prepare to go where I have an eternal vacation, an eternal, wonderful, wonderful relation, and love all around me. And the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself is very personal, especially in Golok Vrindavan, where Srila Prabhupada is guiding us to go. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So thank you for coming, for hearing. We have some time left before 9 o'clock. If you want to add to it, you want to ask questions, you want to share realizations or take home and how it hit you in some ways, you can unmute yourself at this point. Hare Krishna. And there is
a comment by Dear Krishna. Yeah.
Yes, it's on the text. And I'll read it. Please accept my humble obeisances. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, accept my humble obeisances. All glory to the Prabhupada. Very nice class. I like the eternal vacation. Oh, yes, it is. It's there. We say servant of a servant of a servant. That's an important point that links to something that just came to mind. It's an eternal vacation. That service that's given to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not strenuous service at all. It's done in fun, literally in fun. Even service to the Lord with the cowherd boys are involved in it. They play around with the Lord. That's also service. The Lord wants to play with them. They want to play with him. That's part of service. How many things do we have to struggle for when there are desire trees around and whatever you want, he gives to you? What kind of struggle is that? There is no struggle. There isn't. Struggle is here in the material world. So yeah, we should aspire to go home because we're going to have an extended vacation. It's a perpetual, it's eternal, as you put it, eternal vacation. Hare Krishna. Glory to the Prabhupada. Any questions? Yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances.
Accept mine, glory to the
Prabhupada. Couple of points that's really nice in the class, very powerful. Is one is what is reminding me, and piggybacking on Dear Krishna's comment about eternal vacation. It's reminding me about the statement that I heard from Bhakti Tirtha Swami, the eternal playground.
Oh yeah.
And it's just thinking about it is putting a smile on my face. That I think the Lord, the more we want to be part of the eternal playground, the eternal vacation, as you said, and Dear Krishna commented, the more the Lord is going to throw wrenches in our lives. I think to want to, but of course, when the Lord throw wrenches in our lives, problems like Mother Kunti, then we have to be ready to take shelter of the Lord and ask him to take us out, So that was one of my takeaways from this class, Yes, it's wonderful to be part of definitely, we want to aspire for the eternal playground, but we got to, what's the word? We have to also be able to fit into the characters of the playground.
Yes.
You know?
Mhm.
Yeah, we have to fit into the characters, not like, okay, I want to be, so I'm just going to walk into the playground. You know, it's like, I don't know why I heard this. It's been a long time, but, you know, I heard it from a class where it's like going to an amusement park. You know, we just can't walk into the amusement park. We have to buy the ticket.
Yes.
So that's the same thing with the eternal playground. You know, we just can't walk in. We have to be able to fit into that, into the atmosphere and be one of the inhabitants and have that mood and character.
Yes.
So that was one that was really, you know, powerful for me. And another one that you were talking about, death, was really powerful because I remember, and I think it might be from Bhakti Swami, but I don't remember. Probably you might know, you might remember more. But I remember hearing that, you know, that of course, one point we know is when a Vaishnava leaves, when a devotee leaves, is glorious.
Mhm.
It's a happy moment. Of course, there's definitely lamentation, there's definitely separation, there's definitely grief, missing association, and all that stuff. But I remember the other part of that is, and again, I hearing from a lecture is like, but the person that left is saying, but you guys are stuck. Something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know who said that. Probably you might know who said it.
Bhakti
But
Maharaj.
that's what I thought. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Bhakti Maharaj.
And they're saying, yeah, well, I got out, but you guys are stuck. So when you guys are gonna come out, you know? So I was really thinking about that how the person, you know, left the body, you know, not out of the material world or whatever, and going on to wherever takes him to the next destiny based on the karma, but we are stuck. And you know, and yeah, so I was just thinking about that, you know. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
I'm stuck for a little
yeah,
while. We can
a little
change
while.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, two points that you brought up. So let's just deal with the first point, the challenges that's that we face here and so on. Sometimes people wonder why Krishna is very merciful, but somehow we face so many challenges. Srila Prabhupada has described the challenge here as, and even described Maya, described 2 points about it. The challenges here has to do, one, with bhakti itself. And what Srila Prabhupada meant was that Krishna can give liberation. That's not so difficult. Liberation you can get. The person falls and say, absolutely. It's not hard. A person, it doesn't take much to get there. But when Krishna gives bhakti, Krishna will challenge us, because the result of bhakti is you literally purchase Krishna himself. And that's the difference. When a person is associating with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in one of the rasas, basically, the person who is in love with Krishna, Krishna will have Krishna adjust to some of the things, literally the demands that the devotees make. So to get to that position, he won't give it so easily. So Prabhupada explained, he won't give it so easily. For example, Bhishma. Krishna says, I'm not going to lift a weapon in this fight. And Bhishma, a pure devotee of the Lord, has decided that Krishna should join in the fight. Now that's diametrically opposite to what Krishna said he was going to do, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But out of love, Bhishma wants, in just a big war like this, he wants Krishna to prove to all these other kings how great a Kshatriya that he is. He's above everybody. So for that reason, it's that Krishna should fight so we can just glorify him and see, because he can actually annihilate everybody. He wanted that to happen. But the thing is, Krishna had already said he wasn't going to. So what did Krishna do? He made an adjustment. After coming, the point where he almost came after Bhishma himself. He was going to fight. He was going to join the fight. He took a wheel from a chariot and then raced towards Bhishma. The person that says not going to race, but because his pure devotee has said this, Bhishma is in bhakti, full pure devotional service. So the devotee can, in fact, literally, out of what they want to glorify the Lord, make some demands sometimes diametrically opposite to what the Lord said he was going to do. Now, to get to that point where the Supreme Personality of God had adjust his life to please what the devotee wants, that's bhakti, and it's not going to be just handed to you on a plate easily, just here, take it. That's why Sri Prabhupada said, yeah, you want to go to the impersonal Brahma, you could definitely go to the Brahma Jyoti. That's not difficult for him to, but when he has to relate to you and adjust his life that way, that's bhakti. That part of it, he's going to test you. How really close do you want to come to me? He'll test you. And that's why bhakti is a little more difficult and it comes with, challenges. But the end result is wonderful. Nobody experiences relations with the Lord anywhere near as wonderful as a bhakta experiences with the Lord. Once we get back home, it'll be more obvious to us. Pure devotees are already in that situation. So for them, wherever they are, it doesn't matter. They're still enjoying blissful relationship and service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mm-hmm. So, the second point was about people, those who are leaving and the devotees who've served the Lord well and done the very best in effort and devotion service, going back to the spiritual world. Yeah, the truth is, and as Bhakti Maharaj put it, we're the ones stuck in this muck. He used the word muck. Muck means dirty, filthy place that we're just stuck in. Mm-hmm. But anyway, we're also practicing bhakti. So by the mercy of the Lord, it's only a matter of time. Either this life or the next one. Better this life than the next one. But we get to go back to the spiritual world. As Sri Radha Govinda Maharaj said it, he said, if you say yes to Krishna, you're definitely going to spiritual world. It's just, it may be after this body or the next body or the body after that. But you definitely go back to spiritual world. So you say yes to Krishna, Krishna never leaves you. He will help you life after life to get closer until you finally go back home. And that's the beauty of Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Any final questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Nice class, nice discussion.
Krishna's mercy,
Yes.
Guru's mercy.
I was thinking on the point, the bhakti being difficult. I was just thinking, does Krishna make it difficult or ourselves make it difficult? Because Krishna is our dearmost father and he wants all the souls coming back. So he must be merciful and loving and he wants the things to be easy for us.
Mm-hmm.
Wondering, does Krishna make it difficult bhakti to follow or ourselves we make it difficult?
Well, when we chant the holy name and we get to go back to the spiritual world, that's an easy process. That part of it is easy. The other parts that's there that we experience, we don't experience spiritual difficulty, we experience material difficulty. That material difficulty is also a way to get us to want to go. See, when somebody is uncomfortable at a certain place, they're going to be looking forward to the time where they leave that place so that the discomfort is gone. Especially if they know they're going to go to another place where the discomfort won't be there. So the difficulty should be looked at that way. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is in a class by himself, so he has the way he describes difficulty, and I'll get to that part. When he experiences difficulty in serving the Lord, he looked at it differently. But those of us that are not at the pure devotee level, we should see difficulty as Krishna proving to us that the material world is not for us to get too comfortable in and therefore try to stay in. He doesn't want us thinking that it's convenient enough. Because as soon as a person thinks it's convenient and I'm enjoying myself, oh, yeah, and why should I leave this place? That's why we told him so emphatically. Maharaj Shabbadev said it in 5th canto, 5th chapter of Bhagavatam. We should give up the endeavor for sense enjoyment. Another party says we should detest, literally hate sense gratification. He said this, it's in actually text 10 through 13, Canto 5, chapter 5. Text 10 through 13. The things that would make us stay in this material world because we've come up with some reason to say, I like this, I like that, and therefore I want more of it. It's going to rob us, literally steal from us the opportunity to enjoy an extended vacation, an eternal vacation. It's going to, because you don't get that in the material world. So we are in the medium type planet where there's some level of material sense enjoyment there. But we shouldn't latch on to it, because then we lose the opportunity for the best type of enjoyment, eternal, no problems in any way. Whatever problems you think, it's not there, not in the spiritual world. So basically, the difficulties should help us, those of us not pure devotees, to remember this place is not designed for our total happiness, so that we leave. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Glory to the Lord.
Yes.
If I can piggyback on your point, is whenever I hear the word difficulty, I immediately think of Srila Prabhupada's famous question, what is the difficulty? You know? What is the difficulty? And there's a book, actually. What is the difficulty? I think it's by Giriraj Swami, if I'm not mistaken, or someone. But and there's lots of conversations between Prabhupada and his disciples, and I love to read his letters and his conversations. And Prabhupada says, what is the difficulty? He said, it's the mind. Because the free will that we have is we still want to be the controller. We're not ready to surrender. We still want the Lord, but at the same time, we want our control. You know, we still want Krishna, but at the same time, we're not ready to let go on this end. So that is the difficulty, is the mind. And I remember, because I just finished my training, with the Sringa Kavacha Prabhu and DD workshop. And he was saying a very powerful point. He says, it's not like we love to chant 16 rounds. And then when he said that, we looked at him. He says, Prabhus, let's be honest. He said, how many of you here, the first day you came to ISKCON and they tell you, chant 16 rounds, and you're like, yes! Nobody raised their hand. Nobody raised their hand. He says, yeah, because we don't love to chant 16 rounds. We're doing it because we have to. That's the Vaidhi Bhakti. But why? Because that's the rules and regulation to get us to come closer to the Lord. But if someone told you to chant and you're like, why? Like 1.5 hours of my time, 2 hours, man, I can do so much. He says, we don't love to chant. We're doing it out of duty. That's because the duty is to get us closer to the Lord. So I wanted to share that, and that's why we have all these challenges, because it's us. It's us. We make it difficult. So, Haribo.
Yeah. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna. Japa is a discipline. It's discipline. So we're disciples, we have to be disciplined. The kirtan is fun. We all know that. We get to dance and so on. It's fun. Japa is discipline. There has to be a little bit of work that we have to do if we're going to go to the spiritual world and enjoy an eternal vacation. We have to do a little bit of work for it. We are doing a little, actually, compared to what we actually what's available in the spiritual world for us. So that's one way to say, okay, there's so much that we earn. So there's a little bit of effort you have to put in the japa. It's worth it. It's definitely going to be worth it when you go back to spiritual and realize, boy, with what's available for us, this is way worth it, that effort that we have to put in. Hare Krishna. Any final comments? If not, then thank you very much for very lively discussion after the text itself. Thank you very much. The beginning of the week, have a nice, wonderful Krishna conscious week. Vanchakalpatarubhasya kripa sindhubhya cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Vaishnava.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.